Welcome back to Preservation Travels with Lane and Kevin here at our Restoration Nation. Today, we're giving you a peek inside Christmas in Natchez and a preview to Spring Pilgrimage of 2025. Welcome to Ravennaside, a neoclassical revival masterpiece. The facade has two-story wooden Ionic columns supporting a pediment with a demi-lune light. The semicircular west portico is supported by 5 double-story Ionic columns. The elevations are separated by a 3-story octagonal tower surmounted by a balustrade. A balcony wraps around the angled walls of the tower, crosses the facade, and continues around the east side of the building where 1-story columns are used for support. The lower gallery measures 120 feet in length. The massive frontispiece contains 2 full-sized oak doors with round arched panel inset with beveled glass. Round arched side lights frame the doors and are set beneath an oval fan light with narrow muntins radiating from the center. Slender Ionic columns support the dentiled entablature, and the hardware is silver plated. Welcome to Ravennaside, one of our new additions to Spring Pilgrimage 2025. That will be March 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th, and then April 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. We're going to bring you inside today for a sneak peek at our new addition to the home tour. But you're not going to have time, and we're not going to have time to show you all of the secret details of this beautiful home. You'll have to come visit us in March to see every detail and hear all the behind-the-scenes stories. But today, we're going to give you just a glimpse at the architectural magnificence that is this 1902 neoclassical revival style home. We know that if you follow our channel, you have got to be a doer. You're somebody with a curious mind who loves to learn new skills, always into something new, has a new hobby, and if that's the case, you're going to love our new sponsor, Craftsy. Craftsy is an online community and resource where millions of crafters, makers, and DIY enthusiasts find creative inspiration, advance their skills, and learn new ones along the way. Maybe you want to learn how to crochet, cook, draw, or garden. With more than 2,000 exciting classes in over 20 popular categories, there are so many classes you can take to fulfill that curious desire. Classes are broken down into easy follow lessons and are led by friendly, award-winning instructors who share their creative wisdom as they provide step-by-step demonstration. Crafty classes include step-by-step instruction plus helpful downloadable resources to make learning easy. When we're finally done at Hope Farm someday, Kevin plans to take up painting. He's taken the Using Watercolor with Acrylic Paint class taught by Peter John Reed.
This technique is all about the watercolor technique. This is a technique I just love. It's a lot of fun.
I've taken Year-Round Beauty, Growing a Layered Garden, taught by David Culp.
In this class, I'm going to teach you how to master creative planting and maintenance techniques that will provide layers of color, texture, and most importantly, enjoyment in your garden through all 4 seasons.
The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Yes, $1.49. That's a huge discount compared to the normal price of $123 a year. This offer is for new members only. Follow the link in the description to take advantage of this special offer. The Fleming family built this home. They built it to impress, and they made sure that when you walked in the front door, the home took your breath away, and it certainly does. And the pièce de résistance of this ground floor level that is full of magnificent architectural features is, of course, this stained glass window over this mantelpiece, backlit. This gorgeous art glass window is a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, you can tell. It features both stained leaded glass and hand-painted etched glass. It is truly magnificent, but it's a little bit of a mystery because it isn't signed. We do know that there are many buildings of this period in Natchez that feature windows by the famous workshop of Louis Comfort Tiffany. And this is in the style of Tiffany, but is it a Tiffany window? We don't know, but we can hope. Absolutely spectacular piece that sits above this gorgeous mantelpiece. Now this is all brick, would have originally been unpainted brickwork, but it's been painted, and you see here the Greek key design in the mantelpiece that is reflected in the Greek key design on the parquet floor. This staircase, another piece in this entryway that absolutely takes your breath away, all done in gorgeous oak wood, hand carved, absolutely spectacular. Something to know about this is that at one point someone had painted this incredible golden oak white. So it has been meticulously stripped, all of that paint removed, so you can see the incredible barley twist details of these columns, absolutely spectacular. The opposite side has a dais, which is just a delightful detail. And then behind me in this doorway, you see this beautiful clover leaf mashrabia. One of the things that I love about the neoclassical revival period, we've talked about it before, we're transitioning out of that Queen Anne period where everything was very high style. We're transitioning into the neoclassical revival, which transitions into the arts and crafts movement. So we're simplifying down. But in this neoclassical revival, we see hints of the architecture of true neoclassical design, like the Ionic columns on the front, the pediments, the Palladian style window. But then you also get these whimsical details like the mashrabia, the barley twist pillars here, which are really sort of Elizabethan or Jacobean in design. You've got the Greek key elements, which is very reminiscent of the Greek revival style. So it is in this period that we see this incredible mishmash of architectural design elements thrown in to create the neoclassical revival period. Just to the right of that beautiful entryway that we just showed you is the first of the formal parlors. Now, I have to show you something that we have hiding in a cabinet. This is the receipt for the original installation of the parquet floors. The receipt shows that the parquet floors were purchased and installed for a whopping $125 when they were done. And the woodwork craftsmen suggest they really think that they would be much happier with this parquet floor in the long run than they would be if they put down a carpet. And I know that I, for one, am exceedingly glad they decided to go with this incredible parquet flooring instead of a carpet. But not only do we have the exquisite woodwork on the floor, we have this absolutely breathtaking Carrara marble mantle. The relief carving on this is unbelievable, showing the Horn of Plenty cornucopia with pomegranates and grapes and peaches and apples, a scene of abundance here on this entryway mantelpiece, this front parlor mantelpiece where our guests would have been received to show off that this is a home of plenty. Look at this absolutely splendid French door exit onto the side gallery that's here in what is now being used as the dining room. An incredible space, 2 enormous sets of pocket doors, a gorgeous, fairly simple mantle in this otherwise very elaborate space. We have an area here that now is empty. I have a feeling when the home was designed, this would have been for a very specific piece of furniture, because as you can see, the wainscoting runs into that cupboard. And if there had been a built-in in that area, we of course wouldn't have had the wainscoting running into the area, but you do still have that original architectural detail, these incredible French door lights that go out onto the side gallery, and then we enter into the side parlor that has some really incredible details. So come with me. Well, here we are in the very informal family parlor. This would have been library, family room, a casual space for relaxing. And the space behind me is very important. You can see it's a gorgeous mantelpiece, stunning majolica embossed tile picturing Bacchus, the god of wine, but that's not what really makes this space special. What makes this space special is that we have a picture of Sweet Auntie, otherwise known as Roann Byrnes, the second owner of Ravennaside. Sweet Auntie was instrumental. She was really the leading force behind the formation and preservation of the Natchez Trace Parkway. And so at one time, these walls were covered with wallpaper that depicted the Natchez Trace Parkway in its original state when Sweet Auntie began her preservation efforts, turning the Natchez Trace Parkway into a public road that would be traversed by millions throughout the year. It's still one of the most popular driving trails in the United States. And its creation, its formation and preservation was done here in this home, in this room. And originally there was a scenic wallpaper that depicted that. At one point, a later owner took out the wallpaper, rolled it up, put it in the front yard for the trash to pick up. Luckily, someone from the Mississippi Department of Archives and History heard about the wallpaper being removed, came, picked it up, and as far as we know, it's still there, safe and sound, tucked away in the archives today. So that's all that we're going to show you of the first floor. There's so much more to see. You're going to want to come and see it on tour. But for now, we're going to go upstairs. I'm going to show you through a few of the rooms up there, not all of them. And while we're taking a look at those, I'm going to give you the history of this incredible home and the families who've lived here. Ravennaside was built by Anna Metcalf Fleming and James S. Fleming on land acquired by Anna's father in 1884. The Flemings were proud parents of a young daughter, Roann Fleming, who would eventually marry and become Roann Fleming Byrnes, internationally known for her promotion of the Natchez Trace Parkway. Roann was the eldest child of Anna and James, and she was 12 in 1902 when her family moved from Ravenna into their new house, Ravennaside. In 1917, Roann married Charles Faraday Byrnes, and they lived with her parents and brother at Ravennaside. In 1943, Mrs. Byrnes inherited the family home, which she occupied until her death in 1970. Mrs. Byrnes became associated with the Mississippi Natchez Trace Association in 1934 and served as president of the organization from 1935 until a few months before her death in 1970. On behalf of the Trace, she wrote letters, sent telegrams, entertained dignitaries, whatever she felt was necessary to promote the Natchez Trace Parkway on local, state, national, and international levels. She was recognized in 1936 for her efforts toward getting a $500,000 bill for a right-of-way purchase through the Mississippi legislature. On May 13, 1938, the Natchez Trace Parkway became a permanent part of the National Park Service. The pen used by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to sign the bill into law was sent to Mrs. Byrnes and kept in the Trace Room at Ravennaside. The American Association for State and Local History selected Mrs. Byrnes for an Award of Merit in 1966. The citation read, "For their leadership that led to the creation and development of the Natchez Trace Parkway of the National Park Service." Mrs. Byrnes was also active in the areas of historic preservation and race relations. She promoted the tour of homes in Natchez, which evolved into the annual Natchez Pilgrimage. She was instrumental in the preservation of Connolly's Tavern, the Priest House, and Lawyer's Lodge. For a woman of her time and place, Mrs. Byrnes was advanced in her view of racial harmony. She made frequent contributions to black churches and worked with the then called Negro Civic and Business League in Natchez to finance a community center for young African American adults. In 1960, she called on her fellow citizens to support the Mary Lynch Fund, which sponsored a young African American woman in the 9th International Games for the Deaf in Helsinki. Mrs. Byrnes stated her philosophy: "I hate the words communism, integration, and segregation. I like the word friendship, and that's what we're working for." At Mrs. Byrnes' funeral service in 1970, black and white members of the clergy formed the cortege. Needless to say, Mrs. Byrnes' impact on Natchez and on the nation remains strong even today and makes Ravennaside one of the most important homes in the Natchez area. Well, that's it. That's your sneak peek inside Ravennaside, one of our new additions to Spring Pilgrimage 2025. We hope you've enjoyed this look, and we hope it's whetted your appetite to come visit us here in Natchez, Mississippi in just a few short months. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for joining us every week on Preservation Travels with Lane and Kevin. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We don't just take you inside beautiful homes and show them off to you. We also show you our hard work on our own restoration projects as we're working through them. We hope you'll join us for all of our adventures, and we'll see you next time on Preservation Travels with Lane and Kevin.